All right, welcome to episode 2 of Christy's Corner. I'm your host, Ryan Christy, and I am joined by Lucy Mott, senior from St. Ursula. You're coming off of a pretty busy last few weeks. You recently led your team to a 19-9 record, a state Final Four, which you played Olentangy Orange. You were named third team All-Ohio, and this season you surpassed over 1,500 career assists, finishing up a great career. And in addition, you recently signed your letter of intent to Boston College. Talk me through that state run and what type of momentum you guys had and a little bit about your team and how great the season finished off for you guys.
Well, we went into it like we didn't expect anything. We weren't expecting to go into every game and win, but we knew, well, not like we knew we had to go in and fight for every game, but we weren't going in thinking like no matter what, we're winning this. We were thinking we have to fight and we have to get this. It wasn't something that we expected to be handed to us. It was something that we knew we were going to have to work for every single game. And it was just a lot of emotion, and it came down to grit and emotion. And it was like very evident in those games that like it meant so much to us. And it was like, so I think it like really showed through.
Right. I think I was able to come watch you guys a couple times. And one thing that stood out to me was the chemistry and the bond that your guys' team had. And I think that's probably why you went to go on and win, especially a lot of games that were difficult games. Talk me through that a little bit. Was there a lot of team chemistry? Is that something like, do you guys do things on the side to kind of build that chemistry? Do you have like team bonding? Do you guys hang out together? How does that work for your team?
This team was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was so different than any other team I've ever been on. Mm-hmm. And like, it sounds corny and we've said it so many times and people are probably like, oh, they're just saying that to say that. But it was like, genuinely, I've never been on a team that's like as tight-knit as we were. And like, there was not a single person who was like trying to create any drama or like that was separate from the group. It was all of us. There were no cliques. There were no like separating each other, like leaving anyone out. Like it was all of us. We were all one unit. And like, I think what really made us want to create that environment, especially the senior class, is we saw what could happen when you have like one little bit of drama, or you have people being selfish, or you have anything that could like, even the smallest little thing that could break a whole group apart. We saw what that could do. And we sat down last year and we all sat around at a table, and our senior class, we said, like, we're not accepting any of that. Any of that happens, we shut it down immediately. Yeah. And so we would do stuff outside of volleyball all the time, but it was just constantly like we all just got along and we all made sure there was never like no drama or anything. Yeah,
I think that's really powerful when you have the entire group bought into the fact that the team is something bigger than each individual, right? And I think in those teams, you start to have less problems like you're talking about, and you have less of people worrying about how much they're playing and how many passes they got during the game, right? And everyone's just bought in on what do we have to do to get the win. And I think that's when teams can really start to go far. You're talking about having those conversations with your team where you're kind of establishing those boundaries of what's expected throughout your teammates. Are you one of those people that you're a leader in those conversations? Did you find yourself like you were the one guiding those conversations when you guys had them as a team?
I try to be. I try to be someone that like you can come to, and I try to be someone that like you can confide in, but I also want to be someone that like is going to shut down any drama and is going to say like that is unacceptable, you cannot do that, but also like setting boundaries, but also not like being somebody who you're going to look at as like a mean person. Like there's a fine line between like saying like, okay, that's like wrong, and like blatantly like yelling at a person or like getting mad at someone. So I tried to like stay on that line of like, this is unacceptable, but like we can still, have that bond.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic, this is one thing I wanted to cover was the way that you lead, right? I think that's a great example of your type of leadership. What are some different ways that you like to lead, maybe more in a game? How do you be a leader when it's in the action, when the lights are on?
The one thing that like I know is a huge part of leadership is knowing your teammates. And it's like when you get into those like high tension games, like knowing what your teammates need, like one person could need you to look at them and say like, you need to get it together. And the other person needs you to say like, oh, it's okay, like whatever. So like it's knowing how to handle different people and what they need in different situations. And like it's calming tension as well. Like I remember during like certain games, like I think probably during the Avon game, like after that first set, we were all like really stressed and like we were all like, it was just super tense. And I remember like being in it in between the set, and I walked around and I just slapped everyone on the face a little bit. I was like, just chill out, like we're fine, like it's calm, like it's like the little things like that like go a long way.
Right. And I think that's one thing I really noticed about you the first time that I watched you play was how active you were between sets, between points. You know, you're that person that's stepping up, leading that conversation in the huddle. I'm not much of an expert in volleyball, right? And I'm learning more. So give me an inside look. You know, you guys just scored a big point. Everyone's going crazy. Every time you get to huddle, what are you talking about in that little huddle? Is it more so like, hey, let's keep going? Or is it like, hey, what's our plan of attack for this next point?
I feel like more in between points, it's kind of coming in and saying like, yo, you're cheering, like keep it going, whatever, but also like stay calm, like stay relaxed. Like we can't get on too much of a high or else we're going to come crashing down. It's like you need to stay level and we need to stay constant and consistent throughout. And then like during timeouts is when we would be like, okay, this is the game plan. This is what we need to do.
Yeah. So talk to me about game planning in volleyball. Do you go into a game with a specific strategy like, okay, hey, we want to serve to this area or serve to this specific player, or we want to try to get hits on this side because we feel like their blocking is weaker? Is that something that you guys are already planning and working on leading up to a game?
Yeah, we definitely like, depending how much time we have in between games, we spend that time working on like specific shots for hitters, specific sets that we want to run, specific like zones we want to serve, or like we would go around each rotation and have like 6 people on the other side, like you're pretending to be this person from their team, and like practicing like serving to them and serving certain angles at them and certain shots. We would set mats out and say like, hit this shot like as much as you can, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's similar in every sport, right? That's something that we do a lot in basketball is scouting and knowing who you're playing against. So let's talk a little bit about your journey in volleyball, right? I think it's really cool to have someone that has already committed to play at the next level on the show as our second guest. Tell me how your journey in volleyball started. How old were you when you started playing, and when did you feel like you really wanted to start to take the game serious?
I was like 9 years old when I started playing, and I started playing CYO, and I was like, I'm just going to do it because everyone else is doing it. And like, I just transferred to it like a different school, and I was like, everyone else is doing it, maybe I can make friends this way. And then I did it, and I was like, okay, like I kind of like this. So my mom was like, maybe we could try out at a club. So I started playing in a local like club. Like I just started playing here, and the more I played the more I just like fell in love with it. And I just knew like, I don't ever want to stop doing this. And like, I ended up switching clubs and like taking it as like seriously as I could. And I started like working on the recruiting process. And then I committed the summer after my sophomore year. And I just like, from like such a young age, I knew like, this is what I want to do.
Right. So there was like immediately you knew like, this is the sport that I want to be really good at.
I quit like softball. Softball was like my main sport before I started volleyball, and I quit that to play volleyball, and like I ended up quitting basketball. Like I dropped everything for volleyball pretty much.
Wow. So you ended up going to play for Legacy Volleyball Club, which I'm told is a top 10 team in the entire country. Talk about, we would call that a circuit in basketball. Say it's the circuit. Talk about that club experience or that circuit that you guys played on, playing against some of the top competition in the entire United States.
It's a place that makes me like such a better person.
Mm-hmm.
And because you go in there and you learn from players and coaches who have experienced it all and who have gone through it all. Like you would go in and we would scrimmage a team with like 8 D1 commits, and it would be like you would learn so much just from playing against them, from watching them. And like my setting coach, he was committed to go like huge school, and like he got hurt, but like it was just he's someone that like I get to learn from so much, and like you get so many different voices constantly that I learn something new every day. Like whether it's technical or like anything else, like I learn something new every day.
Yeah. One thing I remember that is very clear to me about your game is you go to set and then you fake it and hit it over the net like a no-look pass in a way. Is that something that you work on? And how do you decide when you're going to do that, right? Because it seemed like there's some times where you could have done it, other times you don't. Is that just a feel of the game? Is there something that you recognize?
It's I definitely like practiced, like I practice it like technically, and then it's more up to me of when I do it. And it's a balance of, you can't do it too little, but you can't do it too much, because you have to be able to keep the defense on their toes. If you do it too much, they're just going to creep in and they're just going to get it every time. But if you never do it, then it's something that they're just going to cheat out and they're going to just get into defense already, and it's going to be, easier for them. So it's like, it is a lot of a feel of the game, and like being able to like kind of see in your peripheral if there's like anyone there, and just kind of knowing in like those long rallies, they're probably already cheating out to like get ready for defense. So you can just send it over.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously you're really good at the game of volleyball. Let's just start with like one skill that you think you're best at that has helped you be able to go to this next level. Like, what's your best thing that you're good at that you feel like has helped you, separate yourself from the competition?
I think I run a good offense. I think I'm very smart with who I set, and I think that's like, I play logically, and I think like, if I set this person multiple times in a row and they keep getting kills, I'm going to keep running them because they're the hot hitter. But at some point I can sneak one over, and because they're going to be blocking that one person, and I can, get someone one-on-one. It's a lot of getting my hitters one-on-one, putting them in the best opportunity. And I think that's something that I have gotten a lot better at over time.
Right. So that would be kind of like volleyball IQ, like really understanding the game. Okay. Give me another skill here. Let's go number 2 now. So you got the IQ. Give me something else. Is serving something that is really important? Is it passing? Is it your being able to dig and play defense?
I got told by my setting coach that to get recruited, you should be good at setting and then good at 2 other things. So he said, like, be good at defense, be good at serving, be good at whatever. And I think my next thing would either be serving or being like an attacking setter, because I'm tall. I'm have the capabilities to be an attacking setter, and I'm able to do that. And I think, at least during high school, I thought I had a pretty good serving year, so I think that helped me too.
Yeah, that's cool. So as far as getting better at skills, right? When it comes to becoming a better setter or a better hitter, what are ways that you can become better at those? But not just doing it, right? I understand it's always reps, right? But is there a lot of technique involved in a lot of this stuff? Is there film study? Is it a matter of you need to get stronger to become a better hitter? Like, how do you get better at volleyball?
I think it's a lot of watching other people play, and it's watching like Big Ten volleyball. Like, I watched that on like Nebraska versus Wisconsin. You watch them play, and it's just like, there is so much like different things. Like, they are not doing the same thing over and over again. They are mixing in so many shots, and that's something you can like learn from, and you can see like, oh, this shot works really well, or like, oh, this one doesn't. Like, you can learn a lot from watching like the best of the best play and seeing like what they can do. And like, my coach right now has been like sending us a lot of like videos from like Olympic games, and like just showing us like even like the smallest little bits of technique is something that you can learn from.
Right. I completely understand that. So let's talk volleyball. I think there's 2 like very important sides, right? There's the technical aspect, and then there's the athleticism aspect. Is one more important than the other? If you're a great athlete but you're not as skilled, can you still go very far into what level you can play at, or is skill the thing that tops everything?
I think it's definitely a mixture, but I think having the technique and the skill is slightly more important. And I think that's something that like, you can jump to the roof, like you can jump as high as you can, but you can't put a ball away. Like a college isn't gonna want to take you in and try and fix that. But if they see someone who's shorter but like knows the shots and know where they can hit and is able to do multiple different things, I think like colleges and coaches and everything would rather have that player that is smarter and plays smarter than someone who can, out jump everyone faster than everyone.
Yeah. So, your schedule is extremely busy. You just finished your high school season. You guys went on and had a great year, obviously. Club season has already started for you. You've got school. You've already gone on to, you know what you're going to do next year in college. How do you stay motivated with all of this stuff going on? How do you continue to like grind and continue to work on your game and continue to try to get better? Where does that motivation come from?
It's like the love of the game. Like, I went through like a rut before this high school season where it was like, oh, I don't even know like why I'm doing this. Like I was just like struggling so much. And then I genuinely thought about quitting high school season for a while. Like before it started, I was like, I don't even know if I want to play at this point. And then I went into high school season. I was like, it's my senior year. I might as well play. And like, it just reminded me that it gets better because I was around some of the best people I've ever met. I was playing and I was enjoying it so much. And it was just that like, it brought me back to when I was young and when I was just playing to play, and it was so much fun. And I was just around my like best friends. And so it was just like that mindset that it's like, I'm playing because I love it. And I'm like not doing it because I have to.
Mm-hmm. When you're in that mental rut and you're kind of feeling like your relationship with the game is going a little sour, like what did you do to get through that? Obviously, I think putting things in perspective, like you just said, understanding that it's a game and having fun with it, all that stuff is important. But like, what did you really do to just continue to keep working? Or did you take time off? Did you take time away from the game? How did you get through that mental rut, like you said?
I mean, for me personally, I just barreled through. I just kept going, and I was like, I know it will get better. I've gone through it before, and I know it gets better, and I know it just takes time. But I think a lot of the time it is important to like take a step back if you need to, and like take like, even if it's just like a week off, like just take a little bit of time and say like remember your priorities and remember what is important to you. And like for me, I was able to just push through, but at certain points in time, like you have to like take a step back and be like, okay, like priorities.
Right. And we talked about that earlier today. You know, you're going 5 days a week, basically nonstop. You have 2 days of rest. Am I wrong for not putting in extra work on those 2 days, or am I better off taking those 2 days of rest? And we both kind of agreed, you know, having that rest is really important mentally, physically, to stay, you know, fresh and not get so burnt out in the game. Let's talk a little bit about the recruiting process. I think this is something that is really valuable to know, and because you've gone through it, it's fresh in your head. When does the recruiting process start for college volleyball teams that are looking to recruit high school players?
So the rule is technically you're not allowed to like talk to coaches like directly until June 15th after your sophomore year, but it starts way before that. It's like, my advice would be an instigator if you're a player. Don't wait and sit back and let coaches and teams come to you. You have to be the one to send out emails and make highlight videos and send them to coaches and be like, oh, I'm at this tournament this coming up weekend, like you should come to our court, like this is my schedule, this is whatever. You have to be the one that reaches out. You cannot just sit back and like wait, because otherwise not as many schools are going to come and come out to you. You have to be the one that's like, hey, this is who I am, you should come and watch me and come and recruit me.
Yeah. So is that something that you do on Twitter? You said email. Did you use Twitter at all to, you know, help with your recruiting, or was everything basically email for you?
It was like a mix. Most of it is I made highlights on Huddle. I would make like 2-minute long highlight videos from usually from 1 or 2 tournaments, and then I would go on Sports Recruit, and you're able to just send them out to colleges on Sports Recruit onto coaches. So I would make them on Huddle, and I think my Huddle is attached to Sports Recruit, so I was able to just send the videos out. Yeah. But even if you don't have Huddle or Sports Recruit, you can find a way to, make those videos and find the coaches' emails and send them out. And then with social media, I don't think social media is as important. I think it's something that you should still put some things out. Like on Twitter, I would post schedules, and I would put out what tournaments I would be at, and I would, if I got mentioned in an article, I would just share it just so any coaches that followed me could see that and be like, oh, okay. Just a mixture of both.
Yeah, that's cool. I think there's a big thing too on club versus high school, right? Is it true that you are going to get recruited more off of club, or if you're a good player and you play high school volleyball, can you still go play the next level?
I think you could. If you were just played high school, I think you could, but I think it would require a lot more of work of making videos, because colleges aren't going to come to everyone's high school games, because that's just 2 teams playing. But when it comes to club, you have hundreds of teams in one convention center at one time, and it's so much more convenient for coaches to come. So it would be possible as if you just played high school, but it makes it a lot easier if you also play club.
Great. So I have two more things here. This has been great. I think a lot of that information is not like widely accessible, like we're talking about with recruiting.
I didn't know a lot of it until I switched clubs, and like the recruiting coordinator came to me and said like, this is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like something that I knew I had to do beforehand. It was something that I learned.
Right. So I think there's going to be probably some players out there that maybe gain something from this, right? So that's great. One thing that I want to talk about, and I want this to be completely honest and organic, right? We've been able to train for, a few months now, 6 months or whatever it is, and we've had really great sessions. Your focus is always great. It's funny when I get athletes that are going on to play at the next level, how hard they work, right? There's never an outlier. Usually the ones that are going to play at the next level are the same ones that take every rep serious. They, take their rest time serious even. We're not just joking around in between sets. You're actually trying to stay focused throughout the workout. So let's talk a little bit about our time training together. What did you feel like maybe you really liked, maybe you didn't like? How did you get stronger? Did you feel anything start to feel different when you were in the game? Let's talk training with me and you. How have your results and what has your experience been?
I like that you pushed me. I like to have someone who's going to make me better and is not going to just sit back and watch me like stay constant. Like the fact that you are like always like, oh, we should add more weight because that's going to make you better and I know you can do it. And whether you only can do 3 reps but you can do more weight, or you can do 20 reps of like nothing.
Yeah.
It makes me better and it makes me stronger, and it's making me get to where I need to be for the future.
Yeah, awesome. Do you feel like this type of training has helped you in volleyball? You said you were an attacking setter, right? So maybe we're not seeing the vertical displayed as much. So if you're not feeling like jumping is that important to you, how has this training helped you on the court?
I think it's definitely helped with my jump, because that's what I want to focus on a lot, is that like, because I want to go on to the next level and I want to be someone that can set all the way around. Would be my preference.
Okay.
But I do need to get my vertical up.
Yeah.
And I think that this definitely has helped me with that. And I think it's consistently making me better. And it's not going to be like, oh, I'm going to jump up really high and then just like stay constant. It's going to be something that's going to make me like continue to grow.
Right. And I think that's the approach that we like to take, is slow, right? When you like have a explosive gains very quickly, that can be great, but a lot of times that leads to maybe an injury happens, or you have a huge plateau after. Just continuing to buy into it, show up. That's one thing that I really admire about you, is that you're still doing all this stuff while you're practicing with your club 5 days a week, while you're doing extra stuff, while you have school and you're coming straight here after. I think that's a great thing for other kids to know, is like, hey, you're not going to Boston College because you showed up to club practice a couple nights a week and that's it, right? You're out here putting in the extra work. You're out here being a game changer. And that's what we want to have on the podcast, right? So I'm glad that you can make it. The one last thing that I wanted to do here today was allow you to sign your flag over there. It's an honor to have the Boston College Eagles up there. So go ahead and put your signature on there wherever.
Don't not drop the mic. Okay, my signature's really bad. Where should I do it?
I think on the red would probably.
On the red, like here?
Yeah, that's perfect.
God, my signature is really bad. Just don't look at it that close.
Awesome. Yeah, welcome to the club. Game changer. All right, so that's episode 2 with Lucy Mott. She embodies what it means to be a game changer, someone that is willing to go the extra mile and get away from normalcy. There's going to be more episodes coming out. Be sure to check this one out. Like, subscribe. Lucy, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll make sure that we continue to get that work in.